In this video, with a really simple example, I'm going to show you why we need and why we use Flink. The example I'm going to implement in this video is going to be a fraud detection application. Imagine we have an online store like Amazon. There are tons of orders every second. Now the management is interested to see all the users with some kind of abnormal number of orders. For instance, if the average number of orders we see every day is like 20-30 orders for every user. But if suddenly there are some users with some abnormal number, like 300 or more, this is something interesting. The management wants to check this to make sure that this is something real. There is no hacking happening. There is no problem in the system. Everything's working fine. So in real time, as the data comes, we want to set some alarms to check the data, process some information, and provides the management with some notifications about that. So here in this diagram, a data streaming is happening from Amazon. When there is a new order, the backend pushes the new order to Kafka. And then we have different orders in different times. Here we have one order. The next second we have 3 orders, another couple of seconds we have 2 orders, then 4 orders in different times, different numbers of orders for different users. And we get this data, we have this data in real time. Now what we want to do is that we want to calculate the whole number of orders for each specific user over the past, for instance, 1 minute. But it should happen in real time. So as soon as the number of purchases for one user passes the threshold, we want to notify the management. It should happen pretty much in real time. There is no time to put it in the database and then do the query, and then after that, if there is something wrong, we alarm the management. It's too late. We want it to happen right away, especially when it comes to banking and financial issues. You want to stop a transaction right away when there is some frauds happening. Or in this case, when there is something wrong in the system, it could be some hacking happening or the system fails for some reasons. We need to know it right away, so that we can maybe cancel the order or stop the process. And here is the place where Flink really shines. Basically, Flink can do the processing in real time immediately for unbounded data. By unbounded data, I mean that there is no stopping point for this data. We need to do the processing all the time immediately. So using Flink, what we can do is setting a window, let's say for the last 10 seconds. And then we can slide this window slowly and do the processing at every second. For instance, when the window is here, we can calculate the total number of orders for a specific user. And then as the data comes to the system, it's like sliding window. Every second it's doing the same thing in real time, and that's amazing. Or basically it's better to move the window from the beginning point. So here it happens like this. Calculate the total number of orders for a specific user and then moves it 1 second, again calculate it, and whenever it reaches the threshold, we can do something. For instance, print a notification or set an alarm. Now, another important thing about Flink is that basically we can grouping the data based on keys. So here we have different users and we want to know the number for each specific user. So we can set the key as the username. So it can separate the data based on the users. So then when we move the window like this, it can calculate the numbers separately for different users. Now let's implement this in Python to see how it works in a real world. I have all the codes and commands here in this article. I'm gonna put the link in the description so you can copy and paste all the codes and you don't need to type anything. But the very first thing you need to have is Kafka on your system, and to have it you just need this Docker Compose file, and as soon as you have it in Docker Compose.yml, simply you can run it with Docker Compose up-d. But because it's not part of this video, I'm gonna skip it. But I've already created some other videos explaining this part, how you can set up Kafka. When you have Kafka broker up and running, now you need a script, a Python script, to first of all generate a fake data for this particular example and then stream the data to simulating the real world situation. So here I have this Python script here. The only thing I need to do, I need to run this with Python stream data with Kafka. And then it's going to generate different numbers of orders every second. 199, 157, 168. It's simulating the real world situation when you have an online store. So for now, I'm just gonna stop it. And then it comes to the main script. So here we have another script, which is the main part for Flink. Here we try to get the data streamed with Kafka, and then we try to do the processing. So this is the whole Python script. But let me explain different parts and different pieces step by step to get a rough idea of how it works. So the very first part is this part. Basically, you select the source you want. The source is going to be Kafka. So to have it, you need to have Flink SQL connector Kafka to make it work. So you download it and you put it in the directory you want, and then you change this directory with what you have. And then you select the Kafka source here, set localhost 9092 as your bootstrap server. You have the Kafka on your local machine. Here we have a topic for that, sales stream. Here we set the topic. We have already named in the stream script. Here we have the topic name. And then you choose a Flink consumer. And this part is just about selecting the source. And now when we have the source, we have the data streamed in stream object. And here we can apply a mapping function. So basically with map function, we can apply a function on every event or basically data point. And here is the function I'm applying on each and every data point or event. For instance, what it does here is calculating a new column for us. It's sales column, basically quantity ordered multiplying price each. And then it returns customer, order date, and sales. So somehow we are also doing some event processing here in real time, but this is not the main thing about Flink. Then we come to the next part. Here basically we apply a watermark strategy. It means that we want to make sure that if there is any delay in the system when the streaming is happening, there could be some delays for the data. So here, first of all, we say that within a 30-second window, check that all the events and all the data points are in order. Even if there is some delay, make sure that the order is correct. And here it basically uses the actual time for that event or data point to make sure that it's in order and there is no delay. And then it comes to this very important part, which is grouping by key, basically. So here you define that I want to separate the data or group the data based on the very first column, which is actually the customer name. Now we have the data in different groups, and then it comes to the most important part, which is this part. Now we have our streamed data basically separated by username, and then it applies a window on top of that data. The window with the length of 10 seconds and then with a sliding interval of 1 second. The same thing I showed you here. So here the length of this window is 10 seconds, and then Flink waits for 1 second and then calculate again and again and again. Basically the window doesn't move, but actually it's the data that is getting updated. It's like this, that the data is passing through this window every second, and it's calculating every second. This is how it works. And that's all. Now if I try to run this code, let me run the streaming part, and then in another window here I can run my Flink consumer. So the threshold I set here is in fraud detector process. It's 300. So as soon as there is a user with more than 300 of orders, it's gonna print the customer name. The main part here is in fraud detector process window function, and then in the process method we implement our logic how to treat with the data. So here it says that counts all the elements for this key basically it means all the orders. And if the count is more than 300, now return this. And when it returns it, with the final part, which is alerts.print, we can print all the returned messages. And then we can execute the pipeline. And this is basically how Flink works. But of course, it's not only limited to this example. There are a lot of features that come with Flink out of the box, but I can say that this is one of the main important things why we use Flink. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Until the next one, take care.